Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. Are you allowed to film people in public? What if they ask you to stop? Creepy for sure, but is it illegal? Here to explain is my counterpart on the Soapbox Social panel, which you can find on CBC Radio's On the Coast with Gloria Makarenko every Thursday at 4:10 p.m. Representing Acumen Law, she is Kyla Lee, and this is Kyla's Court. So Kyla, let's say I come across Rick Dhaliwal and Don Taylor in a public park and they're on a bench and they have a bowl of butter chicken, and instead of eating it with naan, they're just eating it with a spoon, and I think it's funny, so I start recording them and they ask me to stop. Am I within my legal rights to record Rick Dhaliwal and Don Taylor in that scenario?
That's an extremely specific example, but yes, if you're in a public place, you can record anybody that is also in a public place without their consent, because in Canada, legally speaking, we have one-party consent. Where the area gets a little bit gray is what you do with that recording afterwards.
What if I post that clip online?
Probably because these are sort of public profile people, you wouldn't run into any concerns under the Privacy Act, but it is in British Columbia law a tort that doesn't require any damages to post any private information or to share any private information about another person without their consent. So if they said, hey, we don't want you to film us, that's essentially explicitly telling you that they're not consenting, and you shouldn't post that information online.
Oh, interesting. So I can record it, but I can't post that because they told me not to.
Because they told you not to and they revoked their consent. Now, obviously, it gets a little bit more complicated when you deal with people who are public figures.
Right.
Because there's this public interest component associated to it, and you have sort of a diminished expectation of privacy, although I don't know that your, butter chicken eating habits fall within the scope of that.
Their alleged butter chicken eating habits. So one question I have is, let's say you are in a public space, you're in a park or something, but you start recording someone's residence, whether it's a condo building or a house. I mean, that seems really creepy and probably illegal to me. Where does the law stand there, where you're in public, but you're recording someone's private residence?
So again, criminally speaking, that's not a criminal offense, because if it's visible from a public place, you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy if you know the public can see you, right? And that's why we can criminalize people who stand naked overlooking a park in their windows, because they're exposing themselves unlawfully to the public. But again, if you start to post that information online, you run into concerns under civil law that you're violating the Privacy Act, and you can be sued and you can be made to pay even if it doesn't cost anybody anything.
It sounds like that would be stalking, though, if you're like really recording someone's home from a public place, though.
Well, it depends on why you're recording it. Maybe you're just walking by, you see something interesting in the window that catches your attention, versus you're standing outside your ex's house to try and catch them doing something and recording them for that reason.
Interesting. In Vancouver specifically, we've had these issues with YouTube documentarians going out and recording vulnerable people, sometimes in vulnerable circumstances. I think you and I can both agree that that's really gross. Is there anything to protect vulnerable people who are maybe experiencing some sort of mental health episode or even a physical health episode?
Definitely. There are the provisions of the Privacy Act, again, that say that you can't do this, but especially if you're sort of profiteering off it. If you're an organization, so if it's a company that's recording this for footage, for some sort of video or something like that, there are additional privacy obligations that you have when you collect personal information from people that you can't just disclose it. And if you're trying to make money off it, then that is prohibited under BC's Privacy Act, to use somebody's likeness or use somebody's image for the purposes of your personal financial gain.
What if you just blur out their face?
Then you get into, again, more of a gray area. But if the person is still identifiable, maybe they have really identifiable tattoos or scars or something about them, a distinguishing pair of shoes that they always wear, then that could still violate their privacy, because you can identify who that person is and learn information about them that they may not have wanted broadcast to the entire world.
Fascinating. Kyla, always interesting. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, that's our show. Thank you so much to Kyla Lee, Dustin Godfrey, and Karen Mirsky for tonight's show. We will be back next week. In the meantime, find me on X or TikTok at VANCOLOUR. Of course, this is VANCOLOUR, and I'm Mo Amir telling you that in a province where you can be anything, be colorful. Peace.